Good morning. Welcome to Just for Today, a time of eclectic reading, sharing of perspectives, meditation, and prayer. I'm Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader of the newly joined Centers for Spiritual Living Communities of Columbia and Greater Baltimore. Today is September 17th. And this morning I am reading from the Science of Mind magazine, the March 2023 edition. And I opened it up to page 58, and my eyes landed on this paragraph. Have you ever tried to have a relationship with someone's potential? I certainly have, and I can tell you it doesn't work. While we can certainly know the truth of someone that is deeper than the way they currently show up, and we can hold a space for their healing and growth, we really have to let them be where they are. Words of wisdom. I am experiencing the whole of humanity in that space right now. Many of us see a potential. And sometimes that's a spiritual potential. Sometimes it's our own desire for how someone should show up. Sometimes what we see as someone else's potential is really coming from our, one of the many volumes of Shouldapedia that we reference to justify our own personal agenda. Politically, socially, we have perspectives of how everybody should show up. And we see behaviors that don't resonate, and we see, and we think, wow, you have so much potential. And all of that has some level of accuracy. I think the challenge is that while we see a greater potential in everyone and everything, and hopefully even in ourselves, we honor each other when we meet each other right where we are. And that's the challenging part, is to know that life is always evolving forward, right? That there's always more, because life is pure potential. It is infinite possibility in form. And I think sometimes we unintentionally limit potential in ourselves and other people by having a limited idea of what that is, and then acting in a way that either intentionally or unintentionally, and honestly I think the majority of it is unintentional, we manipulate one another to try to get them where we think they should be, rather than being in relationship with one another right where we are. Doesn't mean we don't see potential. Doesn't mean we don't hold possibility as a spiritual principle. It means we allow people their own journey. It means we honor one another right where we are, and trust that the potential of one another and the whole is unfolding perfectly. I don't know what anybody else's journey is when it comes right down to it. There are moments I don't even know what my own journey is or how it is supposed to unfold. And what I've learned over the years is that the supposed to is the problem. because it is based on my limited human thinking. And in the moments where I've been able to let go of my own limited thinking, life has unfolded as me in ways that I couldn't even imagine. Magical ways, powerful ways, ways that I sit there and realize that if I had made a list of all of the potential I wanted to reach, I would have sold myself short. And so I invite us to, even in our relationship with ourselves, to simply know that yes, every expression of life is filled with infinite potential to live from the faith that that is the truth of our being, and be with one another right where we are, right where they are, without judgment, without coercion, without manipulation, without criticism, whatever words help it make sense to you, but to just be present with one another and know that this moment is just this moment. It doesn't define or limit. It is our thinking, our limited thinking, that squashes potential. So that's what that tiny little paragraph sparks in me. It is just the reminder that we are all pure potential. And I don't know what your potential is, and I certainly do not want to limit it by inflicting my limitations on you. Yeah. And I will just close with this. That's a simple perspective. It doesn't mean it's easy to live into it, right? Because sometimes people do things that is like, are you kidding me? That doesn't negate that they're on their perfect journey. It just means I don't get it. And the reality is, I don't have to get it. It's not my journey. I'm 100% sure that most moments on my journey, other people don't get. I have to get it because it's my journey. And we can walk our journeys with one another, but we cannot walk them for one another, nor should we. And see, even there, the shoulds come up. They're just so deeply embedded, bless our hearts. So I'm going to read our paragraph one more time and take us into our 5-minute meditation practice. And I will close us out with an affirmative prayer that we in Science of Mind call a spiritual mind treatment. Have you ever tried to have a relationship with someone's potential? I certainly have. And I can tell you it doesn't work. While we certainly know the truth of someone that is deeper than the way they currently show up, and we can hold a space for their healing and growth, we really have to let them just be where they are. Let's take that into our time of contemplation and meditation. Breathing into this moment, I recognize it is the breath of life breathing me. One power, one presence, one energy, one substance that is the very substance of all creation. One nameless, changeless, invisible substance. Nameless because it cannot be limited. Changeless because it already is everything. It is that substance of infinite possibility, pure potential, expressing itself, individualized, expanding its expression and experience of itself as this activity and form that I know as creation. Everything seen and unseen. Everything known and unknown. Everything felt and unfelt. Everything that has been, that is, that will be. All this one substance. In being unlimited, it has no circumference, no limitation. And so its very center must be everywhere present. And being the singular substance expressing itself as life, all life must contain it. All life must be it, expressing in a multiplicity of individualized forms, yet never separate from itself. Never used up. Already infant, nothing to be added to it. And so I know that I am that in form. And I know that what is true of me must be true of every expression of life. Each and every one. An intentional, purposeful, individualized expression of one life, never to be repeated. Each on an individualized journey of self-discovery, discovery of the divine self, discovery of the infinite possibility which lies at the very center of being. And so I speak my word, claiming and affirming that there is no distraction, no condition that can limit the pure potential of life expressing. And that every distraction comes into awareness to be neutralized, to be released, and in its place, a greater ownership, a greater acceptance, a greater claim on the infinite potential that each expression of life is. That there is the activity of meeting one another, meeting every other individualized expression of life, in that place of knowing, in that place of wisdom, in that place of assurance that each and every one is on its perfect journey. And that we gloriously, confidently, in the faith of knowing that life is always unfolding perfectly beyond the appearance, beyond my mental limitations that the brain would tell me isn't right. I release into the knowing that life itself gives the privilege of choice. The individualized journey, whole, perfect, and complete in itself. And so I honor that by honoring my own spiritual path and by honoring each individual's spiritual path of self-discovery, discovering the divine self beyond the human experience. And knowing that the activity of law, the doer within this continuous creative process, simply manifests each step of the journey as we choose it, as each individual expression chooses it, without judgment, without filtering, unqualified yes, because it is that that gave us the journey that is the journey. So it is never in conflict with itself, never in judgment of itself. It simply says yes. And so knowing that every journey of unfoldment is absolutely perfect as it is, I can let go. I can let go of every volume of Shouldapedia that would limit the full experience and an expression of infinite possibility and potential. I let it all go. I let it go. I claim healing through acceptance. I claim healing through living a greater experience of truth. And knowing it is complete, knowing that I am the process of letting go of limitations, I simply move into this day awake, aware, pliable, willing to know, to adjust, to return over and over again to that place of wholeness, that place of love, that place of honor, that place of celebration. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amin. Amen. And so it is. Namaste.